Hi guys, going to be talking about the persuaders video that we watched and the different qualitative techniques that were used in that. I really saw three categories of exploratory qualitative research. One was the interviews and focus groups, the second was projective techniques, and the third was observational techniques. So the first one with the interviews and focus groups, obviously we saw the in-depth interview with the guy with the white bread word association, and then we saw the focus groups later on in the video. The second was projective techniques, and that we saw with the white bread word association, where, who knew that white bread could make somebody feel lonely, but apparently it does. And then observational techniques, we saw that, in the focus groups as well. So where Dr. Rapai actually, worked from people going, getting them from their frontal cortex down to their primal core and their responses. In terms of secondary data that was used, I didn't really see any obvious overt use of that, but I kind of brainstormed some ways that I think that they might have been able to use some secondary data. First of all, I think it would be interesting to see if sales records of stores were to be pulled from where the people shop that were used in the focus group. That would be an interesting sort of mixed method, qualitative and quantitative research project. It would be really in depth because I'm not sure how you would get all of that data, but sales records of the stores where those people, looking at what they thought about luxury, and then, comparing that with where they actually shop, would be kind of interesting. Another secondary data source that they could look at would be published data that would look at actually, buying habits of people who do shop for luxury items. And the third would be standardized marketing data that would be appropriate to specific luxury brands. The third question, discussing the observation approaches used, we saw a couple different things. One, Dr. Rapai definitely created a scientifically contrived observation, starting the with just asking the basic questions all the way down to removing the chairs and kind of watching. And then that's interesting because I was thinking, they probably were watching some of the physical reactions, maybe some of the spatial relationships, how close did they sit to one another, how did they respond in terms of not having chairs, all of that. And then potentially even response latency. So talked in our text about sometimes when people pause, there might be an emotional response. So they more than likely we're looking at all of that. And then lastly, I think they probably were going to be using content analysis with some of the writing that people used, when they had that experiment where they, or that, where they dimmed the lights and brought them and you kind of woke them up and had them sort of write down some of their thoughts about luxury after sort of being in a sleepy state. So those are some of my thoughts. Looking forward to your feedback. Thanks.